Hello.
Hi.
Week number 7. Congratulations for continuing to come. We'll begin with a opening meditation, please. And we find our dignified posture, planted firmly and feeling our body. Feeling our feet on the floor, our weight in the chair, our hands resting. Notice the rise and fall of each in-breath and each out-breath. Letting go of the thoughts, memories, plans of the day, just sitting and breathing. When sensations like sounds or discomfort take our attention away, we notice that and let it go. When thoughts or emotions take our attention away from the breath, we notice that and come back to the breath. And notice when your breath changes. Maybe that's a deeper breath or a longer breath. You don't have to control it, we're just noticing it. No, we can turn to the breath anytime, just to let things settle and bring a little peace. How are we all doing with our practice?
Trying.
Trying is good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think what I tend to notice most is that I'm always ending up like this,
Mhm.
and then you try and relax again.
Yeah.
It's always in my shoulders that I feel it.
Shoulders, very common.
That's funny. That's the first thing I relax when I go into it.
Really?
Yeah, because I know that usually my shoulders are, you're more, and then I just, okay. I just settle in, and
I start out that way, but then
all of a sudden you're back up.
I
Oh,
find out.
okay. Yeah.
Something is tensing you up, huh? Mhm.
I don't know.
That'll be worth exploring.
Yeah.
I caught myself 3 times this past week where I could tell I was just getting a little perturbed. And I brought myself to where I was.
Mhm.
I said, okay, now we are going to take some deep breaths and just let it go. So that takes practice to be able to do that, to come to realize, okay, now, well, I can do this and then I'll feel better. But
Very
you have to be in the moment to be able to say that to yourself and do it, I should have done it today that one time, but I didn't.
That's funny.
I think you definitely think about that more, you know what I mean, when I get upset about something,
Mhm.
I'm thinking, okay, what is this really about? You know, why am I upset, why? And that's kind of enlightening, really, I mean, you know,
Yeah,
Is being anxious and upset the same thing?
Well, I heard a great answer to that.
Mhm.
An interview with, one of the great teachers, can't think of his name right now, he said, the answer to this kind of koan is always yes. Meaning, could be, worth exploring.
Cause I always, it's an anxiousness I feel more than.
more than being mad.
I think.
Hmm.
There's layers,
Yeah,
yeah. Worth exploring the layers. I'm upset. Oh, maybe it's because I'm anxious. Why am I anxious? Am I afraid of something? Afraid of what? You know?
Mhm.
Then maybe a memory comes in. Oh, I had something like this happen before. That's why.
could be, yeah. That all makes sense.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah, but
so
you're-
everything has to stem from something, yeah, as a rule.
Tonight we're going to explore mindfulness of pain, physical pain. Now this is especially helpful if you have chronic pain, arthritis, a bad back, chronic headaches. But it's useful for acute pain as well. So if you have chronic pain, you might want to take some notes, or you could ask me to email you my outline, because there's several different practices we're going to review today that are helpful. A lot of this information comes from these books by Vidyamala Birch. This one is called Living Well with Pain and Illness. And this one is You Are Not Your Pain, an 8-week program using mindfulness to relieve pain, reduce stress, and restore well-being. It's in the handout I gave you earlier
Okay.
on.
okay.
Vidyamala Birch is especially helpful. She's a teacher from New Zealand who has severe chronic pain, many back injuries and surgeries. She's in a wheelchair, but she's explored mindfulness meditation to help her with the pain. So she's a very good teacher. One of the things about pain is very interesting is this thing called the gate theory of pain, which was developed by some physiologists in the 60s. They found that there are certain parts in the spinal cord called gates that control our pain perception. Remember the hand model of the brain? Sensation comes from the spinal cord, which is here, to the brain stem where we begin to feel it. The limbic system is a deep part of the brain where emotions are, and they interpret the pain. And then the cortex is the thinking part of the pain of the brain, where we can affect these other areas. And in the gate theory, they find that pain perception from the spinal cord comes up into the brainstem, and there are areas in the spinal cord called gates that control how much pain we feel. The limbic system, the emotional part, has a big effect on how much pain we feel. And they find that with chronic pain, our emotional response to the sensation is more powerful than the physical pain itself. And so we can control that with meditation. The cortex can damp down that and help shut down those gates so we feel less pain and we respond to it more easily. Pretty amazing. The handout I gave you last week outlines 4 different responses to pain: blocking, drowning, letting go, and turning toward. So blocking is what we commonly do when we have pain. We try to get rid of it. We think about something else. We take a pain pill. We modify our activity. Sometimes we just get busy and push through the pain, but sometimes that doesn't work very well. And if it's chronic pain, we keep coming back to this blocking, so it can turn to some bad habits. Over-medicating, taking drugs, alcohol, tensing against the discomfort, very common. We get anxious, impatient. So sometimes blocking works for a while, but after a while, sometimes blocking only makes it worse. Then the second response they describe as drowning, and this is when the blocking's not working anymore. We have so much pain, we are so worn out that we feel overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, this is going to last forever. How am I going to deal with this? Depression. And sometimes it can go back and forth between blocking and drowning. So we've already learned about letting go, which we do with our breath, and it's the same goes with pain. We notice a sensation in our body, maybe it's uncomfortable, and we can say, oh, I notice it, I'm going to let that go and go back to the breath or some other thing to be mindful of. And this works. There's a 4th one that is even more powerful, but it's hard, and it's what we call counterintuitive. We don't think this should work, and that is turning toward the pain. When we feel something, rather than letting it go, we say, I'm going to make that pain the object of my concentration. I'm going to really feel it. Okay? What does that do? Well, we find that if we stop trying to block it and we even don't let it go, we just stay with it, that very often, noticing that pain mindfully, it changes. Very often, we can relax with it a little bit more. It's not quite as severe. We understand it better. It's kind of this curiosity we have in meditation and mindfulness, just noticing, what is this really about, you know? And we notice, maybe, that our anxiety is making it worse. And we know how to help with our anxiety, we breathe. So it's kind of an interesting way, and we're going to try some of that tonight, if you will. Got a couple of little exercises for us to do before we do this. In fact, so I'd like you to go in those groups of 2 like we did before.
It's gonna go this way. We're great here, can't even.
Great minds think alike.
Thank you. Now, I want you to take a minute or two to just sit here and notice anything that is unpleasant in your current experience right now. And see if you can describe it to your partner. Anything unpleasant.
Be put on the spot to do something.
Might be a sensation, might be thoughts, might be emotions. But maybe focus on your body, anything unpleasant.
I have this thing. This one. And I'm sure it's arthritis. Something is just like somebody's sticking a needle right into my finger. That's that sensation that is really sharp and intense. But then it subsides. Then it'll come back. Then it'll subside. Then it'll come back. It's a real problem.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yours sounds similar.
And it probably happens.
Yeah. All of a sudden it's there, yeah. Then some days I can go all day long and nothing bothers me. So, whatever. It's not yours.
Yeah. Well, this good.
Life is, yes. And what do you have?
When you're saying that, I get trigger finger, and it's a strange sensation. It doesn't hurt. It just, it clicks.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Where-
what trigger fingers? I never
Yeah.
knew.
I used to have it on my tongue.
You all are very good at sharing your experience. Now, focus on something that is pleasant.
Go ahead.
Whatever is
In
pleasant,
here.
try to name that.
Visiting, socializing, learning. It's pleasant.
I enjoy walking.
Yeah.
I'm an avid walker and I really like that. It kind of, it relaxes me. And I enjoy the outdoors. So today I didn't get a walk in because I was too dark.
Yeah.
It was.
It is. So I'm hoping to
If I
move
have
better
pain,
so I
I
can
don't,
walk.
I don't think about it when we're there.
So that's my joy. And of course, sitting with the kids.
That's my number one, is reading. Reading for 4 or 5 hours.
Oh my God, I never get that much time.
I make the time I don't, I have a quiet life.
Okay, all right. Well, it is, I do too. I make my life busy. Because I mean,
Sure.
stuff and I wanna do it as long as I can. Yes, and that's so, whatever. And that's my social life too, is, you know.
Now let's just sit silently for a minute and notice all we have in common. One more little thing, I want you to each try this. You can do it with both fists or just one. I want you to clench your fist really hard. notice what happens with your breath. Then relax around your breath and breathe into the sensation of clenching. And relax and come back into our circle.
That's interesting.
What did you all notice?
The minute, like you said, you stopped your breathing. The
Yes.
person stopped breathing because, yeah,
And then it was a heavy breathing once you were thinking about breathing with the fists.
Did you notice that you shared some things that were unpleasant and pleasant?
mhm,
We all have that, right?
mhm,
Yes. There's comfort in that.
yeah, right.
It's true.
So here's 5 different meditation practices that help with pain. 3 of them are reviews, or rather enhancements of things we've already learned. Focusing on the breath, the body scan, mindful stretching, and then there's 2 other ones. There is pacing and gratitude. So I'm going to talk about each one of those a little bit and do a little bit of guided meditation with each one of them. So the first one is the breath. Researching this, I was reminded of the physiology of breathing, which is quite interesting. The main muscle that allows us to breathe is the diaphragm, which is a dome-shaped muscle that separates our abdomen from our chest. It's suspended by ligaments to the ribs, the spine, the breastbone, and even the heart. And in the relaxed position, it's up. It's up like this. Okay? And when we take a breath, in-breath, it contracts and flattens, stretches on those ligaments, and that allows the lungs to expand and air to go in. At the same time, it pushes down on the belly and it kind of massages all the organs in the abdomen. The kidneys move an inch or 2 every time we breathe. So it's kind of helping with digestion and all that stuff. There are other muscles involved. There's some muscles in the abdomen and in the ribs. Only 20% of it is done by these muscles up here. So if you have COPD, you're not breathing very well, you use these muscles more. But the diaphragm is the main one. Now we can't feel the diaphragm, it's too deep, but we can feel the effects of it. We can feel the belly expanding and contracting. We can feel the chest expanding and contracting. And it can be helpful to really focus in on those different sensations of expanding and contracting. So let's just try this for a minute. This is a little enhancement of our awareness of breath meditation. Sitting quietly, we notice each in-breath and each out-breath. And we notice with each in-breath how the belly expands forward and backward. Notice that feeling of forward and backward, or you could say rising falling, or out and in. The front of the belly, notice that feeling. Now, if you can, notice how even the sides of the belly expand out with the in-breath and come back with the out-breath. Can you feel that? Now notice even how you can feel the in your back, feel how the abdomen expands, pushing against your spine on the in-breath and relaxing on the out-breath. Maybe emphasize that breath a little bit so you can feel it. Now, notice the chest. Notice the front of the chest moving out and in. Notice the sides of the chest, right and left, moving out and in. Can you feel that? Notice the upper back. Notice the chest pressing against the spine on the in-breath. And then relaxing on the out-breath. Now try to notice, where does the breath begin and where does it go as you breathe in and out. Some people notice it may start way deep down in the belly and gradually move up through the abdomen into the chest. Just focusing on the sensation of each in-breath and each out-breath. Sometimes you can notice the whole body breathing. Could you feel some of those things?
I never paid attention to it before.
Yeah.
You know,
Not really.
how it pushes out on your sides and
Uh-huh.
it pushes against your spinal cord, you know, and stuff. I had never felt that. I don't think I ever paid attention to it.
Interesting. So this is, when you're losing your attention on the breath, it can help. You can notice where you all feel it. So how does this relate to pain? Well, we know how powerful the breath is. Mindfulness helps the mind's perception of pain by replacing anxiety, stress, depression, exhaustion with a sense of peace and wholeness. So just breathing and being mindful of our breath helps us with pain. as we get better at it, we can really, it can be very powerful. So the breath. The second one is the body scan. You remember in the body scan, we started at the feet, noticing what sensations we had and gradually moving up through the body, just noticing and maybe naming it and then letting go and moving on to the next area, maybe breathing with it. So with this, we're going to try the body scan, and we're going to use this letting go and turning toward technique. So let's try this. Sitting still and noticing our breath. And beginning with our feet. Noticing sensations in our feet. Our toes, our soles, the top of our feet and ankles. Warm or cool. Comfortable or uncomfortable. Maybe some tingling, aching. Maybe no sensation at all. Moving up to our lower legs and knees, any sensation there? Our thighs and hips. Our low back. Our belly. What sensations do we notice? Our chest. Our upper back. Our hands, arms, and shoulders. Just kind of quickly scanning, notice what we feel. Our neck. Our face. Now quickly, just going back through what we just scanned, was there any area that was uncomfortable or painful? Let's go back to that area. What area is it? So let's explore that a little bit. Notice, oh, I feel it, okay. How intense is it? Is it very mild, or is it kind of moderately uncomfortable, or is it very painful? Notice how big of an area it is. Is it like pinpoint, or is it maybe a couple inches across, or is it maybe bigger than that? How deep does it go? Try to describe the quality of the discomfort. Is it a tightness? Is it aching, tingling, throbbing. What's the shape of it? Is it round, oblong? Just staying with it, do we notice it, whether it changes? Now let's let that go. Let's return to the breath. Just notice each in and out breath. And we can go back and forth. We can let go, or we can go back and explore that painful area a little bit more. Breathe with it. Notice if the pain changes. And lastly, we can use mindfulness to let go of that pain even more by focusing on a pleasant area in the body. Where does it feel particularly good? Maybe the hands are warm or the feet are relaxed. Just notice that. And breathe with that pleasant feeling. So this is just kind of a quick little meditation on using awareness of the body and dealing with pain. Letting go, coming back to the breath, turning toward, really noticing where the pain is, what it feels like, focusing on pleasant experiences. Any comments on this? It's a tool there, keep it in mind.
Yeah. I could see someone who's in a lot of pain, whatever the reason. My brother has a lot of pain in his feet. And, I'm wondering if this, something like this would help him to, alleviate. But you don't know my brother, so.
You have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
And it takes some work. So moving on to the next one, mindful movement or gentle yoga. This is particularly important with chronic pain because very often if we have a painful area, we're afraid of moving it. You have arthritis, you don't want to walk, you'd rather just sit and lay down. What happens if you do that? It gets stiff and it gets worse over time. So learning how to move through the discomfort. And that's where doing a little yoga, mindful stretching is really helpful. And you can, when you have pain, let's say my knee is really achy, okay? I feel it. I'm just gonna try to move it a little bit. I'm just gonna try gently to stretch my leg out. I can feel that stretching. Keep stretching. Oh, I get to a point where it hurts. That's what we could call the hard edge. We don't want that. Just back off a little bit. And move it back to what we call the soft edge, where you can begin to feel the stretch. Oh, I can feel the cramp in my calf right there. Bring it back. Oh, there's the soft edge. There's the hard edge. Back off a little bit. So mindfully moving the body, especially the parts that are uncomfortable, helps keep us fit, flexible, strength, and it helps with controlling pain. So the breath, body, being aware of the body, and mindful stretching are 3 tools for working with pain that we've already learned. So there's 2 others that I found out about, and one is pacing. Sometimes if something hurts, let's say we're out working in the garden and our back hurts and we decide, I'm just gonna ignore that, I'm gonna keep working as long as possible, okay?
Get this done.
And we pay for it. This author, Vidya Mala-Birch, talks about this because she's an author, so she writes, and she says she's noticed that, let's say she's typing and doing her work, and after 2 hours, she is so exhausted and in so much pain, she has to lay down for the rest of the afternoon, for the rest of the day. On the other hand, she's noticed that there's a certain point where she begins to feel it. So, what's the word? How does she call it? Taking a break before you need it. Stopping. So for her, it says 20 minutes. So she'll stop after 20 minutes and take a break, rest, or breathe, or walk, or do something different. And then after 15 minutes of that, she can come back and do her work for another 20 minutes, and then she can work all day long. I find this with my household tasks. It's partly related to my back and my pain, but it's also related to my emotional tolerance. I'm cleaning out my house, okay? And I gotta get rid of all this stuff. And I tell myself, I can do this for 1 hour. Then I've done that enough for today.
Yep.
I can do that. I feel a lot better about it than trying to do it all day.
Right.
Pacing is a wonderful tool, and just have to think about doing it.
Right.
The 5th one I was just reading about is gratitude. Gratitude is the mental state that one has gained some benefit from a positive outcome that originated from an external source. It's being thankful for what's been given to us. Or it's a personality trait, taking a life orientation towards noticing and being grateful for the positive in the world. And they've studied this, and they found that if you systematically have feelings of gratitude, it helps reduce pain. And I read about 5 different gratitude practices that you can do that help with this. And probably some of you do these. Gratitude journaling. Just write down things that you're thankful for. A gratitude letter. Write a letter to someone who's helped you. Close your eyes and just reflect on 3 good things that happened today or in the past week. Do a meditation focusing on a positive or sacred word. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Openness, peace. And the loving kindness meditation that we've studied. Bringing that feeling of goodwill out into the world is a kind of a gratitude practice as well. They've studied people who did this and they had less pain. So 5 practices that can help with pain. The breath, the body scan, gentle stretching, mindful stretching, a pause or
Pacing.
what do I call it? Pacing.
That's it.
And gratitude. We can all do those.
No, do this.
So put those in your storehouse.
Yeah.
And if you want I can email you my outline that has those to remind you of it.
When you first mentioned pacing, I thought we were gonna get up and start.
Pacing? Yes.
I did.
I did. It was not.
Because I'll find myself doing that sometimes.
Pacing, yeah, pacing is a little bit different from walking meditation, isn't it?
Yeah. Pacing, I consider that as being very nervous and
Right.
anxious
Yeah.
and just the opposite of what we're trying to attempt here.
I know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
So if you're pacing, just say to yourself, slow down.
Stop and smell the roses.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gratitude. How do we feel right now?
Look calm.
Mhm.
Like there's things we can do to help ourselves.
Yeah, isn't that neat? We
Yeah.
can help ourselves.
Mhm.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
To help mind.
Uh-huh.
and we can do that,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Mind over matter.
Yeah. So we'll close in a minute. Remember last week I asked you to start to think about what do you want to do after this class is over? Do you want to keep working on your meditation? What kinds of things might help you? So keep thinking about that. We'll talk about it next week. And I've got a little handout that has some ideas regarding that. Now, I see that I need to retype this. It's supposed to be maintaining and enriching your practice, and I see that it's not spelled very well. So I'm gonna retype this thing, it's not maintaining, it's maintaining.
Oh,
See
see, I
that?
didn't even,
I-
see that.
I hadn't noticed it in several years, I just noticed it today,
Oh, I started with number one.
so.
See, I kind
Yeah,
of did too, I
that's
think,
it.
I skipped over the first step.
Remember that thing in school where they say, they give you, the teacher gives you these instructions and they say, read the whole paper
Yeah.
and then, and do what it says, okay? And if you read it, it says at the end, don't do anything and put your paper down. And all the people, I skipped right through it.
Ah,
They're
okay.
writing stuff, remember that? Yeah. Well, put this aside and we're gonna talk about it next week, okay?
Okay.
There's with that, turning toward, that Vidya Birch talks about how turning toward the pain is a heroic act. It's not easy. And she says it this way, I think that's really helpful. Give the pain a voice. Listen to it. And next week, we're gonna do the same thing, talking about emotional pain, which I think is, we all tend to have that. So that'll be another challenge we'll have. That'll be class number 8, and we'll also talk about where to go from here. So we'll see you next week. We'll close with a little meditation, and you can stay and talk if you want. Just sitting here, letting all the words settle, feeling our body, noticing sounds around us. noticing each in and out breath. Noticing thoughts as they float by and letting them go. Just sitting and breathing. Just noticing how we feel right now. Maybe give a couple words to what we're noticing. Thanks for your practice.
Thank you.
You.
How long have you been doing this?
This is the 4th year I've been teaching classes like this.
Okay. You probably said that at the beginning, I kind of forgot.
So I'm starting to plan for next fall again, starting in the middle of October. Some people are asking, so take a break in the summer, but we'll talk about other alternatives next week, like, do you want to keep meeting? You know, just getting together as a group really helps sustain a practice. And we might want to decide every other week or once a month that we get together a little more informally. We can do readings and meditation. So that's one thing we could talk about. And if you decide you want to take the same class again next fall, you're all welcome to come back, right?
What time is it? 'Cause
Not quite 6 yet, so we're a little early.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah, one thing I also want to do next week is, gotta remind myself, to return your cards and talk about your stressors. I didn't do that yet. Remember we did that in the first class? And talk about, maybe reflect on what's happened over these last 8 weeks.
I forgot what I wrote down.
Yeah.
They're all gone.
I didn't. I didn't forget.
Well, you didn't.
Nope.
I don't
Yes.
know what I wrote
I
down.
really
I was very nervous. No, I don't think I did things correctly.
Oh, well, whatever. We'll pick you apart next week.
Right.
what? We'll pick each other apart
Oh,
next
there
week.
you go.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're gonna talk about emotional stuff.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Well, everybody's good.
Everybody's got, yeah. Some more than others. and
Any of you guys take Lamaze when you were gonna have your kids?
Yes.
There's really, when I think back to that, there's a lot of that was.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
I thought of that
was
before.
breathing,
Yes,
and I remember that we had like whole classes where you learn to relax every muscle.
Uh-huh.
You know, like a body scan.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right.
It was like, okay, now we're gonna relax our neck, and then we're gonna, you know,
Mhm,
Yeah.
it really,
yeah.
and now they don't do any of that, they just give them an epidural.
Oh, come on.
Really, I don't think there's even Lamaze classes out there anymore.
That's oh,
I don't know.
that's disappointing.
Or have you, no,
No, I don't know.
I'll
Don't
have
look
to
at
ask
me.
my
I don't know.
daughter.
I have no
Yes.
idea.
Yeah, I would be interested
Yeah.
to see, now Emily said that there isn't, she didn't think there was anything like that out there.
Yeah, cause your
Yeah.
daughter is,
And she just had a baby
Yeah,
about a
right.
year ago,
yeah,
And she said, well, you can either have pain medication, or you can have a epidural. And I'm like,
You know, that is
that's
right,
it, they
that
didn't
is
give you
true.
any other, no, we didn't take any class or any, they don't even have I don't know,
Okay,
if
that's,
she's missing something, or if I.
No,
Yeah, but her doctor would have
Right,
mentioned.
no, and
if she wanted
they never said
classes.
anything about that.
okay. Well,
Interesting.
I thought there,
my
I mean-
Megan is just about done with her training to be
labor and delivery nurse,
she is a labor and delivery nurse, she's gonna be a nurse midwife,
Oh, cool.
oh, okay,
so
alright,
she has to get in a certain amount of deliveries, so we were somewhere, well, I gotta tell you about this anyway. My mother-in-law died last night. Rosalie was was 100 years old,
oh my gosh,
and they called, was this just last night? And Wednesday,
That's yesterday.
that's yesterday,
so about 5 o'clock, they called me, and I went in, and she was having trouble breathing, and wasn't very responsive, and just sat with her for a while, then later my daughter Megan came, sat with her for a while, we went home, and then she died about 1:30. And, so this morning, no, yesterday morning, so this happened, must have been Tuesday.
Tuesday night into
Yesterday
Wednesday.
morning, we went in to collect all our things. And, so Megan got a call that there was a woman in labor and she had to leave because she has to get in a certain amount, she has to,
Sure.
she says, I have to catch another baby. And she felt bad about leaving, but it was okay, we got it done without her, and that's what made me think of it.
Okay,
Oh.
sure.
Oh my.
And then I got a call today from my friend Jackie, and she said, well, your, Rose gave us a little miracle, because now that she's gone, there's room at the nursing home for my husband, he's been waiting to get in, so.
Really?
Oh my.
Yeah. So there's gratitude for
Wow.
a great life that you had, and
Yeah,
now
right,
a timely death, you know.
yeah. I know,
So she passed, but then Megan went to see this new child.
Yeah,
Yeah,
first and
yeah,
best.
So it
Life,
goes
it's
full
life and
circle.
death, it
That's
goes,
right,
yes, it's full
yeah.
circle, and then, and then another person gets to go into the home that apparently his wife couldn't take care of him
That's
anymore.
right.
Oh, yeah, see, that's hard too.
And think of this, what's the very first thing we do when we are born? We take an in-breath. And what's the last thing we do when we die is we
Yeah.
breathe out.
Breathe out. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Stuff to think about.
yeah.
Go to church.
Isn't life amazing?
It is.
Really is.
Yes, it is.
And when I can't sleep at night, I do that full body scan.
Do you?
Yes.
What?
I'm so frustrated when I can't sleep.
Oh,
I do the full body scan.
there you go.
I don't know if it helps or not.
Mm.
After a couple hours, then I do fall asleep.
Couple hours.
I don't think that body scan's working, it takes a couple hours.
11:30 till about 3 in the morning.
Oh my God.
Oh my
I sleep
gosh.
until 3 and then.
Yeah, that's about mine.
Oh,
And sometimes it's not all the time.
That's not fun.
oh, no.
No, it's not fun, no. I have trouble, I never used to have trouble falling asleep. Now I've got trouble falling asleep.
Oh, that I don't have a problem.
No, me either.
And yet, when I'm downstairs in the recliner, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah,
Okay.
isn't it?
Then I go to bed.
Yeah.
And then I'll lay there.
Because you moved.
Yeah, I know.
in your mind that we're
Well,
coming
happy
again.
Easter, everybody.
Yeah,
Happy Easter.